welcome to All 24 Nightly News. I'm your host, Mariam Zan, and here are the headlines for tonight. After a 3-day visit marked by the signing of several agreements and memoranda of understanding, Algerian President Mr. Abdelnajid Tubun concludes his trip to the Republic of Slovenia. So, coming up, the Zionist occupation's massacres in Gaza continue, with at least 50 people killed in brutal and intense airstrikes that targeted several areas in the north. And in Libya, following deadly clashes in Tripoli, a preliminary agreement is reached on a ceasefire. The Presidential Council warns of the gravity of the current phase as the Government of National Unity insists there is no place for non-state armed entities. And widespread welcome for the lifting of sanctions on Syria. Damascus hails Trump's decision as a turning point, while the UN underscores the significance of the move as part of broader efforts to promote stability in the country. Hello and welcome back to your nightly news. First, President Mr. Abdelnajid Tubun returned to Algeria on Wednesday evening from Ljubljana following a state visit to the Republic of Slovenia at the invitation of his Slovenian counterpart, Nataša Pirc-Musar. As the presidential aircraft entered Algerian airspace, it was escorted by fighter jets from the Algerian Air Force. And earlier this afternoon, President Mr. Abdelnajid Tubun concluded his state visit to Slovenia, which was marked by the signing of a joint declaration between the two countries, as well as a number of agreements, trade contracts, and memoranda of understanding in strategic sectors. President Tubun had arrived in the capital, or the Slovenian capital, Ljubljana, the previous Monday, accompanied by a high-level ministerial delegation. The delegation also included the Director General of the Algerian Investment Promotion Agency, several public enterprise officials, and a number of business people. As part of the third day of his visit, or state visit to Slovenia, President Abdelnajid Tubun visited a center for inventions and artificial intelligence in Ljubljana on Wednesday, according to a statement from the Algerian presidency. At this prominent innovation hub, the president was briefed on Slovenia's latest technological projects and smart systems across various sectors. The visit provided an opportunity to explore prospects for cooperation between the two countries in the fields of innovation, artificial intelligence, and especially as Algeria seeks to advance toward a knowledge-based economy. On Wednesday, President Mr. Abdelnajid Tubun, accompanied by Slovenian President Nataša Pirc-Musar, visited the historic Lipita stud farm. At this culturally significant institution, the two heads of state attended individual and group equestrian performances showing Slovenia's rich horse riding traditions. President Tubun expressed admiration for the displays. Algerian President Mr. Abdelnajid Tubun praised the strong relations between Algeria and Slovenia on Tuesday evening in Ljubljana, highlighting the implementation of all agreements between the two countries. In a statement following his participation alongside his Slovenian Prime Minister Robert Golub in the signing ceremony of several agreements and memoranda of understanding, President Tubun noted that the recent accords will pave the way for new developments, particularly in key areas of cooperation.
أعتقد أن العلاقات اللي نتمناها مع الدولة الصديقة سلوفينيا لن تحصر لا في اتفاقيات ولا في غير اتفاقيات. فأنا متيقن أن الاجتماعات المقبلة ستأتي بجديد، ضروري بجديد، فيما يخص التعاون الجامعي، فيما يخص التعاون في الصناعات، مختلف الصناعات الدقيقة سواء كانت صيدلانية أو غيرها. سنستغل صداقتنا مع سلوفينيا لاستعمال كل الطاقات الموجودة فيما يخص كذلك الفضاء، فيما يخص مراقبة مناجم والمياه من الفضاء، فيما يخص كذلك التقنيات الدقيقة في الكيمياء وفي الصناعات المختصة.
President Tubun also expressed his hope for further strengthening bilateral relations at all levels and in all fields of endeavor.
مثل ما اتفقنا عليه على الانفراد أن نسير إلى أبعد بعد ما يمكن في التعاون في كل القطاعات بدون استثناء، حتى في التعاون الطبي، في التعاون الصيدلاني، في التعاون الذكاء الاصطناعي، في التعاون في الفضاء، في التعاون في تطهير المياه، تحويل المياه. كنت شرحت سيادة الوزير الأول أننا اليوم في مرحلة لاسترجاع المياه المستعملة حتى نستعملها من جديد في الفلاحة وفي الصناعة. وأعتقد في هذا الميدان كذلك سلوفينيا لها تقنيات خاصة وعلم خاص بهذا الميدان.
President Tubun praised again on the occasion what he described as the courageous and moral positions of the Republic of Slovenia regarding the Palestinian cause, as well as its defense of the oppressed and its rejection of violence and wars in all continents of the world.
لا يسعني إلا أن أشكر من جديد سيادة الوزير الأول على كل ما تفضل به. كنا تكلمنا على قضية فلسطينية وأنا شاكر كثير الدولة السلوفينية، الجمهورية السلوفينية، على الشجاعة الأدبية والأخلاقية اللي ممكن كثير من الدول ممكن تأخذ منهم درس في الدفاع عن الضعفاء، في الدفاع عن المستضعفين في هذا العالم، وفي نبذ العنف والحروب في كل القارات الخمس في العالم.
And Slovenian Prime Minister Robert Golub described President Abdelmajid Tebboun's state visit to Slovenia as highly important, highlighting it as proof of the trusted partnership between the two countries. Following the signing of several agreements with President Tubun, Golub praised the positive momentum in bilateral ties, calling the deals as a model for many European nations. He also stressed that Slovenia and Algeria share common views on key international and regional issues, including the Palestinian cause.
President Tubun's visit to Slovenia is highly significant, especially as it resulted in the signing of several agreements, including a gas sale and supply contract, at a time when our country is facing a gas crisis. This highlights their reliable partnership with Algeria. The agreements signed between the two countries serve as a model for many European nations. Doors are now open to strengthen cooperation in various other fields, including space, modern technology, education, scientific research, and water resource management. In this context, we highlight the positive development in bilateral relations, and it is worth noting that both countries share similar views on current international and regional issues, including the Palestinian cause.
Slovenian President Nataša Pirc-Musar hosted a formal celebration and state dinner at the Museum Palace in Brdo in honor of Algerian President Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboun, according to a statement from the Algerian presidency. Now to occupied Palestine, dozens were martyred early Wednesday following Israeli airstrikes that targeted 5 residential homes in northern Gaza. According to local Palestinian sources, around 50 martyrs, including women and children, were brought to hospitals in northern Gaza after the recent Israeli raids that struck homes in Jabalia refugee camp and Jabalia town. Search operations for people trapped under the rubble are still ongoing. And also, more than 80 Palestinians were killed and dozens injured in Israeli airstrikes that targeted various areas of Gaza from Tuesday night into Wednesday, with most attacks concentrated in the north. Medical sources reported that the air raids involved fire belts launched by Israeli warplanes on homes in Jabalia and its vicinity. The death toll remains provisional as rescue operations continue. And more than 70 Palestinians killed in brutal raids across Gaza. Intense shelling and fire belts hit northern neighborhoods, and the toll keeps rising. Usama Hayazi has more.
Palestinians in Jabalia searched on Wednesday through the rubble of destroyed buildings in the aftermath of Zionist strikes. At the Indonesian hospital in nearby Beit Lahia, people bid farewell to those killed during the sporadic shelling and mourned their loved ones.
They fired 2 rockets. They told us the house of Muqbil. We came running. We saw body parts on the ground. Children killed. The woman killed and the baby killed. His head was exploded like a flower. He is 2 months old. Does God say so? God does not say so. We accepted the famine, and they are happy. They eat and drink.
The Zionist war machine insists in its onslaught all over the Gaza Strip. The occupation forces' strikes killed at least 70 Palestinians across Gaza on Wednesday, as local health authorities affirmed that an intensification of the bombardment continues to leave piles of victims. The Zionist offensive continues despite numerous calls for ending the war, regarding the catastrophic humanitarian situation imposed on unarmed civilians and the scarcity of daily life necessities, or even their total absence in the majority of Gaza's areas.
We were sleeping peacefully when the oppressors hit them. They hit them and hit the whole area we're in. 14 martyrs inside the house. People are still under the rubble. Have mercy on us. Enough blood, enough martyrs, enough worries. Stop the war on us. Stop the blood on us.
Medics confirmed that most of the dead, including women and children, were killed in a barrage of Zionist airstrikes that directly targeted residential neighborhoods in the Jabalia area of the northern Gaza.
Look at Gaza's people, the afflicted and unfortunate. What do they want more than such a Nakba? There are no men, no women, no humans, and nobody left anymore. What are they waiting for? To kill the rest? God is our suffice and the best disposer of our affairs. No one is looking at us.
The Zionist war crimes continue day after day, and the military assaults have killed more than 52,000 Palestinians. According to local health officials, the Zionist criminal war in Gaza has left the small coastal strip on the brink of famine, and according to aid groups and international agencies, the closure of border crossings is making the situation unbearable at a time when Palestinians, mostly women, children and the elderly, continue to die for the one and only reason, being Palestinians.
Algeria has condemned what it described as a systematic starvation campaign by the Israeli occupation against more than 2 million Palestinians under siege in Gaza. Speaking at a UN Security Council session on the situation in the Middle East, including the Palestinian question, Tawfiq El Qudri of Algeria's permanent mission to the UN said that despite widespread international condemnation, Israel continues its crimes against unarmed civilians with the complicity of several global actors.
إننا نشهد في بث حي وعلى مرأى من الجميع.
We're witnessing in a live broadcast and in full view of the world a systematic starvation crime committed by the Israeli occupier against more than 2 million Palestinians. It is a crime with clear features and complete elements, and the perpetrator is well known. All humanitarian organizations, along with what remains of those with a living conscience in a world overtaken by the law of the jungle, denounce this crime and call for its immediate end and for those responsible to be held accountable. The Director General of the World Health Organization stated, and I quote, "We do not need an official declaration of famine to know that people are starving and that medicine and food just minutes away are being blocked by the siege. Yet, unfortunately, indifference, if not outright complacency, has become the defining feature of the scene."
Moving on to Libya now, the Libyan Ministry of Defense announced on Wednesday the beginning of a ceasefire in all areas of tensions within the capital, Tripoli. The move aims to protect civilians, preserve state institutions, and prevent further escalation. In a statement, the ministry affirmed that coordination has begun with relevant security agencies to implement measures supporting the ceasefire. The ministry also emphasized the need for unity, the rule of law, and the dismantling of random armed groups, calling on all parties to fully comply with the ceasefire and refrain from any provocative actions or statements. Libya's Presidential Council President Mohammed al-Menfi emphasized that preserving social peace in Tripoli is a collective national duty. On Wednesday, in a meeting with a delegation from Souq al-Jum'a, he called for protecting state institutions from political conflict and urged unity in facing current challenges. The delegation criticized the Prime Minister's selective decisions, claiming they unfairly targeted effective security forces in the district. And Libya's government of national unity has dissolved the General Directorate for combating hostile activities and criminal acts from the Interior Ministry structure. The move is part of efforts to reinforce state authority and the rule of law. The Interior Ministry was instructed to implement the decision, including the withdrawal of associated personnel and equipment. The government emphasized only official state institutions will be recognized. And tensions erupt in Tripoli as a key militia leader is killed, raising fears of renewed chaos in the Libyan capital. Hussein Barkan has a report.
A deadly shootout erupted inside the headquarters of Brigade 444 Combat in Tripoli, following failed negotiations, ending dramatically with the killing of Abdelghani al-Kikli, widely known as Ghanewa. He was long described as the shadow man of western Tripoli, wielding significant influence in key neighborhoods such as Abu Salim and Al-Hadba. Ghanewa, a close ally of the Government of National Unity, had been associated with large-scale security operations and controversial cases during his leadership of the Stability Support Apparatus, a semi-official security body established by the former government of National Accord in 2021. With a declared mission of combating corruption, drug trafficking, and illegal migration. His death sparked a wave of violence that eyewitnesses described as the worst in years in the Libyan capital. Intense clashes broke out between fighters from Brigade 444, backed by Battalion 111, and members of the Stability Support Apparatus in neighborhoods including Abu Salim, Al-Hadba, Al-Khalwa, Souq al-Jum'a, and Khalifa. The fighting left casualties, widespread property damage, and forced dozens of families to flee. The severe security deterioration prompted urgent appeals from both domestic and international actors. The United Nations Support Mission in Libya called for an immediate ceasefire and urged all parties to avoid violence in densely populated areas. The U.S. Embassy in Libya echoed the call, stressing that civilian protection must be a top priority. Algeria also urged Libyan factions to prioritize dialogue as the only way to advance the UN-led political process. While Ghanewa's death marked the end of one of the Tripoli's most powerful figures, it also ushered in a new and volatile chapter in the city's security landscape. Despite multiple calls for de-escalation, fears remain high that the violence could spread further amid the absence of unified security institutions and a central authority capable of enforcing the rule of law.
Algeria has reaffirmed its commitment to multilateralism and the strengthening of the legitimacy and effectiveness of UN peacekeeping operations. Speaking at a high-level UN conference in Berlin, Secretary of State for African Affairs Salma Bkhta emphasized Algeria's support for a peacekeeping approach based on accountability and long-term vision. She also highlighted Algeria's dedication to enhancing operational readiness, civilian protection, and institutional capacity in UN missions.
Algeria reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the principles of multilateralism and solidarity, and to the strengthening of the legitimacy, credibility, and effectiveness of the UN peace operations, particularly at a time when the global security environment demands renewed ambition, adaptability, and principled action. In line with its long-standing engagement in peace support and South-South cooperation, Algeria is pleased to announce the following 4 pledges designed to enhance operational readiness, civilian protection, and institutional resilience in peacekeeping missions.
And in the same context, Algeria says it is ready to offer support in the field of criminal investigations aimed at strengthening the ability of UN missions to document crimes in conflict zones and pursue accountability for perpetrators.
Algeria will provide training in forensic investigations with an integrated focus on international humanitarian and human rights law. This module will enhance the ability of mission actors to document atrocities, manage evidence, and support accountability mechanisms, particularly in contexts involving mass atrocities or conflict-related sexual violence. This pledge reflects Algeria's firm convictions that justice, transparency, and the protection of human dignity are core pillars for sustainable peace and mission legitimacy.
Algerian Secretary of State Soufiane Chaheb met Wednesday in Algiers with Hassan Khashoggi, head of the Algeria-Iran Parliamentary Friendship Group. The two discussed strengthening bilateral ties, particularly in parliamentary diplomacy, and praised the positive momentum in relations driven by both countries' leadership. They also exchanged views on key regional international issues with a focus on the Palestinian cause. Algeria's Director General of National Security Ali Badawi met on Wednesday with André Fils-Obami-Itou, Director General and Commander of the National Police of the Republic of the Congo, to discuss ways to strengthen security operations across various fields. They also emphasized unifying efforts on shared concerns and enhancing coordination within the African Union's police cooperation mechanism, AFRIPOL. Speaking after receiving his Congolese counterpart, Badawi said the visit reflects a shared will to give new momentum and real dynamism to bilateral relations in the field of police and security, contributing to peace, security, and development in Africa amid growing challenges.
فإن هذه الزيارة تعكس الإرادة المشتركة الرامية.
This visit reflects a shared and genuine desire to boost bilateral cooperation in police and security, given recent regional and international developments and their impact on security across Africa. There is a pressing need for consultation and coordination to adapt to response strategies. This includes updating police cooperation mechanisms, especially regarding the use of modern technology in committing crimes of all kinds.
And for his part, the commander of the National Police of the Republic of the Congo, André Fils-Obami-Itou, praised the Algerian police's experience, describing it as pioneering and significant. He noted that his visit to Algeria aims to benefit from its expertise in security and the promotion of peace.
Historiquement, l'Algérie a toujours été un partenaire.
Historically, Algeria has been an important partner and remains so to this day. I would like to add something. The President of the Republic of Congo once trained at military institutions in Cherchell. This is my first official visit to Algeria, and I'm proud of that, especially since Algeria's police experience is pioneering and significant. Many senior Congolese police officials have also trained in Algeria. Today, we are here to benefit from Algeria's expertise and to strengthen bilateral relations and security coordination between our police forces, particularly in areas such as civil and cyber policing, among others.
U.S. President Donald Trump met on Wednesday with Syrian Transitional President Ahmed al-Shara, the first meeting of its kind in 25 years on the sidelines of the U.S. Gulf Summit held in Riyadh. According to a statement from the Syrian presidency, the meeting came one day after Trump announced the lifting of U.S. sanctions on Damascus, a move welcomed by the Syrian government as a major turning point. The statement also added that President Trump told President al-Shara he now has an opportunity to achieve a historic breakthrough in Syria. Syria hailed President Donald Trump's announcement from Riyadh on Tuesday to lift U.S. sanctions as a pivotal moment for the country. According to the Syrian Arab news agency, Foreign Minister Assad al-Shibani welcomed Trump's statement, describing the move as a historic turning point for the Syrian people as they look forward to stability, self-sufficiency, and genuine reconstruction after years of devastating war. The United Nations has welcomed U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to lift sanctions on Syria, calling it an important step. Responding to questions during the UN's daily press briefing on Tuesday, spokesperson Stéphane Dujarric described the president's announcement as a welcome move, stressing the need to ease sanctions to support Syria's reconstruction and help the Syrian people recover after more than a decade of conflict. Dujarric added that the UN will continue supporting Syria's recovery and rebuilding efforts. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi described U.S. President Donald Trump's statement describing Iran as the most destructive force in the Middle East as misleading. In statements to Iranian media, Araghchi said that Trump ignores Israel's crimes and seeks to portray Iran as a threat to the region, adding that it is the United States that has prevented Iran's progress through sanctions. The UN Special Envoy to Yemen, Hans Grunberg, has welcomed the pause in hostilities between the US and Yemen's Houthi movement, calling it a necessary step toward broader de-escalation in the Red Sea and the wider region. In a briefing to the UN Security Council head at Algeria's request, Grunberg said genuine peace can only be achieved through a comprehensive Yemeni-led political process backed by sustained and coordinated international support. The Houthi military spokesman Yahya Sariyah said the group has carried or had carried out a collaborative military operation targeting the Lod Airport, also known as Ben Gurion Airport, in the occupied Yafa area with a hypersonic ballistic missile. This was the third such attack within 24 hours. He added that the operations would not cease until the aggression against Gaza ceases. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday that he would likely visit Turkey to participate in talks between Moscow and Kiev, noting that he was unaware of the possibility of Russian President Vladimir Putin participating in those talks. The U.S. president told reporters on Air Force One during his flight from Saudi Arabia to Qatar that he knew Putin would like Trump to participate in the talks in Turkey, describing it as a possibility if he could end the war in Ukraine. And finally, the Kremlin announced that a Russian delegation will arrive in Istanbul on Thursday for possible direct peace talks with Ukraine. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that Moscow will disclose the composition of its delegation once authorized by President Vladimir Putin. He added that Putin's offer for direct talks between Russia and Ukraine in Istanbul remains on the table and that the Russian delegation will await the arrival of their Ukrainian counterparts. And ladies and gentlemen, that's our wrap for tonight's program. Thanks for watching and have a great night.